InFocus.
Good afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Don Shipman. As stress surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic continues to mount, social service organizations are responding to growing concerns about the health and well-being of the region's most vulnerable families. Square One specializes in providing a range of family-friendly education and support services that are unique to each child and every family served. So joining me today to discuss their programs and the support services that they offer up is Kristine Allard, Vice President of Development and Communications at Square One in Springfield. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you, Tom.
Let's start with the beginning here. Tell me a little bit about Square One. What is their mission?
So at Square One, we provide early learning and family support services to children as young as infancy through age 12 and their families. Our family support services range everything from home visits and programming and support groups for parents in addiction recovery and parents who are post-incarcerated or currently incarcerated. So the majority of our work is focused on parents who are experiencing some level of risk in their lives.
And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but tell me a little bit about the types of programs that you guys offer.
Sure. Well, for our early learning programs, we serve about 500 children every day. And as I mentioned, it's infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children. And we do that through center-based programs for preschoolers and school-age children. And we have a team of approximately 40 home-based child care providers, or family child care providers, who operate through our system of care out of their homes. And then on the family support services, I mentioned some of the programs that we offer, our home visiting programs, which include healthy families and parents as teachers. And we also touch on specialized programming for parents who are experiencing addiction recovery, programs for parents who are currently incarcerated. We have a partnership with the Department of Corrections there, and for parents who are actively parenting in their post-incarcerated times, and everything in between there too. Play groups for families. We have a workforce development program for families who are in need of support in trying to find jobs. And included in that is a HiSET program for young parents who are in need of care for their children and also in need of earning their high school equivalency. So I'm really just skimming the surface. There are so many, dozens upon dozens of programs that help to fulfill and meet that need in the community.
And I know we're going to talk about COVID-19 and its impact on the services that you provide, but which programs are you seeing the most need for right now?
Right now, our biggest concern is with the health and well-being of our families. And by that, I mean being able to provide them with some basic needs items such as diapers, baby wipes, formula, baby food, toiletry items for parents. Our families who are already struggling financially are now experiencing that even greater level of stress as a result of either losing their jobs or being impacted in other ways by the COVID-19 pandemic. Where we're most concerned with as mandated reporters, our concern for the children is that we're not that steady presence in their lives face to face every day, where we are mandated reporters before. So if we suspect that there's any kind of an issue, the safety of that child, abuse, neglect, or even for the parents in our program, if they're having an experience that they feel like they need help with, or we're their resource there, we're often that first person to notice those things and to have those conversations, and of course to report those cases to the proper authorities. Where we're working very hard right now is to continue to maintain that presence remotely, whether that's through Zoom calls, FaceTime, just telephone calls to families who may not have access. But we're working very, very hard to maintain that steady presence so that we can continue to be that consistent friend to the families, and they know that they can continue to lean on us for that level of support.
And then before COVID-19, where was your focus? What did you notice was the greatest need in the community?
Well, it's really a whole host of issues. We really pride ourselves on providing full wraparound services. So, families who are relying on us for childcare and early education know that they can also depend on us to be a resource for other issues. If they're experiencing food insecurity, if they're experiencing a housing issue, they know that they can count on us to either help them with our own programming or align them with the programs and services that are available through other agencies around the community.
And how do families apply for help through other programs that you have or enroll?
Well, a lot of our families come to us by word of mouth. Their neighbors and friends and family have had an experience with us. But we do get a lot of referrals from state agencies, the Department of Transitional Assistance, the Department of Children and Families, the Department of Early Education and Care. We are an agency that's referred to by many of those organizations, in addition to people just referring to us from their friends and families.
And who are your clients?
We primarily serve, our primary audience is Springfield. However, we do serve families throughout the greater Springfield area. As I mentioned, we have 40 home-based child care providers who are kind of sprinkled all throughout the region, with our main area of concentration being Springfield. Our family support services reach all over the Pioneer Valley, so we can serve any families within that region. But the majority of our families are coming to us from Springfield and Holyoke.
What's the Next Level program that you have?
Next Level is a program that we're super proud of. A few years ago, we answered a need for childcare for families who work second and third shift. We were hearing from a lot of our business partners in the community that they were unable to hire and retain staff members to work those second and third shift hours. So we decided to form this group and get everybody together to help get this off the ground. And we now can offer childcare 24 hours a day. So we have family childcare providers that are open to serve those families who need care during the evening and overnight hours. And that was what was known as our Next Level.
So once we return here, how Square One is providing support to families during this quarantine. We're going to delve deeper into COVID-19. You're watching 22 News in Focus. We're back here, 22 News in Focus, and today we are talking about Square One's child and family support programs during the COVID-19 crisis with Kristine Allard, Vice President of Development and Communications at Square One Springfield. So workers at Square One are a constant physical presence in the lives of children and families who utilize their services. They're trained to notice the signs, the distress, abuse, neglect, and respond appropriately. But the COVID-19 crisis has changed the way the Square One team is working with those families. So what are you hearing specifically from families who utilize your programs?
Well, we know that the Department of Children and Families has reported a significant decline in the number of cases of abuse and neglect that are being reported to them. In fact, the latest numbers say that's been a 54% decline in the number of reported cases. So what that tells us is that there's not necessarily a decline in incidents of abuse and neglect, but those mandated reporters who are no longer that steady presence in their lives no longer are experiencing that and reporting those cases. So we're very concerned about the safety of our children and our parents. Likewise, though, we've heard that there's a 22% increase in cases of violence, reports of violence cases. So we know that those numbers are reflective of a big problem that we have right now. And we know that our families are struggling to begin with. Many of our families have struggling with addiction recovery and have had experiences with that we know that if we don't maintain that consistent presence and be that constant support person to those families, that they could be faced with some real risk. And then on top of that, there are the issues that so many families are faced with right now, in that they're struggling financially and there's no food in their homes. So with all of that elevated level of stress can often lead to some dangerous situations with our families. And that's what we're hearing and seeing and trying our best to respond to.
All right, so I want to get those numbers again. 54% less reporting of abuse, and then the other part of that, you said 22% increase of violence. That to me is pretty startling. Have you guys? Are you putting together a team that, once we get on the other end of this, the other side of COVID-19, and you're able to get back into homes and there's that face-to-face interaction, where you're going to deal with the consequences of these numbers?
We are absolutely planning for that right now, and we know that it's not going to be easy. Our therapists, our case managers, our social workers are actively putting plans together based on a number of different scenarios of when we can reopen and what that's going to look like. We know that we're going to have some pretty hard work ahead of us to help our children respond. We have trauma therapists on our staff and a trauma therapy center located at our King Street site over in Mason Square in Springfield. We know that we are going to have a lot of work to do once we are able to reopen. With that said, we're doing our best to maintain that presence now virtually and by practicing the social distancing directives. But again, we know that there are things that are happening right now that we're not hearing and seeing, and we're going to have to respond to that when the time comes. And yes, to answer your question, we have teams of folks who are putting those plans together right now.
And are you able to still do home visits right now?
We're doing everything virtually. So all of our home visits are happening via Zoom or FaceTime. And we know that's not the best case, but it's the best we can do under the circumstances. And then as soon as we are permitted to go back into the homes of our families safely and in a healthy way, we'll be back to doing that. We are doing things like delivering packages. As I mentioned earlier, some of the bare essentials that folks need, diapers and baby wipes and food and other necessity items, we're dropping those off, but we're also dropping off family activity baskets. Things that families could be doing to spend their time productively. We've dropped off baskets of chalk and activities and books, learning guides for families and ways to maintain that. I should also mention that our early learning staff has also been in touch with all of the children in our center-based programs, and they're providing them with resources too on how to continue on with their education needs, how to continue on with their work and their fundamentals of reading and math and all of the work that they do in the classroom. So we're trying our best to minimize that learning loss at the same time of dealing with all of the social, emotional, and mental concerns that we have for their health.
Yeah, I was going to say learning loss among children. It's pretty tough during the summer when they come back into school in the fall. Have parents contacted you about their ability to provide educational opportunities right now?
Yeah, we have been in touch with all of our families on a very regular, steady basis. Our educators, our center directors, their teachers are doing their best to maintain that steady presence. And to answer your question, yes, our educators are very concerned and our families are very concerned. We want to make sure that our children are consistent with our mission. We want to make sure that our children are positioned for success in school and beyond. And we know that this gap in time spent in the classroom and with their childcare providers is certainly going to represent a loss there. And that's another part of our response, in addition to the trauma and the social and emotional needs that we're going to need to address once we reopen. We know that we've got to take a step back again and now assess the children on where they are with their learning and what do we need to do to recover from that and move forward.
We're going to continue our conversation after the break. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Today we're talking about Square One's child and family support programs during the COVID-19 crisis with Kristine Allard, Vice President of Development and Communications at Square One in Springfield. So how is Square One offering assistance to essential workers? And I'm specifically asking about daycare services. I know that's a huge issue for essential workers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's been something that was the first thing that we started talking about through all of this. If we, at the time when it was a big if we shut down, what is going to happen to the families who work in those essential healthcare jobs and things like that? Several of our home child care providers are operating as emergency care providers for first responders, the children of first responders. So that's been a great way that we've been able to help there. From there, our greatest need is for additional support for those providers, as well as the work that we're doing, our case managers, our social workers, our therapists performing those socially distant services to our families. Unfortunately, we suffered a significant loss in funding, having to cancel and postpone several major fundraisers during this time, and the loss of some contract revenue that's no longer being paid to us. So our expenses have increased dramatically in trying to respond in a way that we've had to amp up our technology and the technology of our families so that they can receive these services remotely. And so our need is significant for funding to support what we're currently doing right now.
I want to talk about Giving Tuesday because you mentioned funding right there, and this past Tuesday was Giving Tuesday. How are you funded, first of all?
We are funded through a variety of means. We have several state contracts. We're funded by grants and foundations, and then individual gifts and corporate support from our community. So it's a combination of all of those things. And as you can imagine, at a time like this, all of that changes. Our state contracts are primarily still intact, although there is some funding that's not coming to us at this point, and we're suffering a loss there. As I mentioned, the cancellation of several major fundraising initiatives have definitely hurt our ability to bring in dollars there. And many of the funders who would normally be funding our existing programs and services have now shifted, and they're funding other COVID-related responses, and understandably so, that they've had to kind of, change their focus and be funding food banks and hospital workers. But I think what folks may fail to realize is that we are trying to respond in the best way that we know how, and that our services are critical right now. We really can't afford the loss.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what does that conversation look like? I'm picturing a telephone conversation that you're having with these donors, and what is your plea to them? What is your argument to them?
It's a lot like the conversation you and I are having right now, Don. It's making people aware of what we're doing, helping folks understand the critical nature of the work and the risk that our families are at right now. This is the same message that we're delivering to folks to raise awareness of what we're doing and help them understand that, like so many others, we are on the front lines of trying to respond to families who are in crisis. It just may not be the level of crisis that some folks are seeing, the long lines at food banks that are doing amazing work right now. Our healthcare workers that are out there every day doing that really difficult work and responding that way. I think it's just taken a little bit of more work on our part to explain to folks that we are out there and we are doing some very vital work to help answer a need in the community right now, in addition to the work that we do on a regular basis.
And did you see a good turnout on Giving Tuesday?
We did. We had a phenomenal response on Giving Tuesday. One thing I will say is that we have an amazing board of directors and amazing support from folks of influence in the community. We had a great social media campaign where a number of folks in the community created these videos, very compelling, sharing their Square One stories and urging folks to give. And we had a very good turnout for Giving Tuesday. So that was another great way to put a voice to the work that we're doing right now through some of our partners in the community who were really out there advocating for us. So that was great.
What are some of the ways that people and organizations, businesses can give to you guys?
the best thing to do is they can give us a call right to our offices, or just visit our website. There's a big donate button right there. You can just click that button and send us a gift. I'm always available to have a conversation with folks if they want to learn more about what we're doing and how their gift can support the children and families that are relying on us right now and long term. And again, do folks want to be involved with the plans that we have for going forward and our response to this once the immediate dire need for medical care might start to slow down, and what are we doing long term to respond to what has happened during this time with the children and families as they're home.
And you have a program called Healthy Families. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. Healthy Families and Parents as Teachers are our home visiting programs. So those programs have seen tremendous success. We're funded through the Children's Trust of Massachusetts for that. And so our case managers go into the homes for families who have come to us and expressed a need. We make sure that their homes are safe. We make sure that their children are have access to the doctors and dentists and medical care that they need. Many of our children live in homes where there are asthma-causing agents in the home, so we help them make sure that their home is healthy and safe. We make sure that they're aligned with their food benefits. The SNAP program is something we work very closely with, and helping our families align with those services. If their home is deemed unsafe, or we feel that they would be better off living in a different home, we can help them find new homes and a safer, healthier place to live through our other partners in the community who specialize in housing. So that's just a few of the examples, but our home visiting programs really meet a critical need in the communities that we serve.
We're going to have the final words once we return. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Today we've been talking about Square One's child and family support programs during the COVID-19 crisis. And we want to thank Kristine Allard from Square One in Springfield for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me, Don. I really appreciate the opportunity to help us get the word out.
And we want to thank you at home for watching. If you missed any of this, you can of course watch it on the web, on our website at wwlp.com. From all of us here, have a good day.